Welcome to Keep the Faith Ministry News. Driving more slowly, turning down the air conditioning, car-free Sundays, and working from home should be adopted as emergency measures to reduce the global demand for oil, according to a 10-point plan from the International Energy Agency, IEA. Such measures and changes to consumer behavior would allow the world to cut its oil usage by 2.7 million barrels per day, within 4 months, equivalent to more than half of Russia's exports, the global energy watchdog said. The IEA laid out a series of measures it said would help reduce global demand, currently close to 100 million barrels per day, helping to ease sky-high oil prices, hurting consumers, and reduce reliance on Kremlin-controlled resources. Immediate steps it recommended including reduced speed limits, car-free Sundays, and cheaper public transport. Quote, "These efforts would reduce the price pain being felt by consumers around the world, lessen the economic damage, shrink Russia's hydrocarbon revenues, and help move oil demand towards a more sustainable pathway," it said. The IEA said that many of its proposals could be implemented by governments of advanced economies immediately, and estimated how much oil they would save by doing so. Reduce speed limits on highways by at least 10 kilometers per hour, saves about 290,000 barrels per day of oil use from cars and an additional 140,000 barrels per day if trucks also reduce their speed. Quote, "A reduction in speed limits can be implemented by national governments. Many countries did so during the 1973 oil crisis, including the United States and several European countries," the IEA said. Work from home up to 3 days a week where possible. 1 day a week saves about 170,000 barrels per day. 3 days saves about 500,000. Pre-pandemic, the use of private vehicles to commute was responsible for about 2.7 million barrels of oil use a day, the IEA said. Yet about 1/3 of those jobs could be done from home. Car-free Sundays in cities. Every Sunday saves about 380,000 barrels per day. 1 Sunday a month saves 95,000. Switzerland, the Netherlands, and West Germany did this during the 1973 oil crisis, and some cities have used the measure to promote public health more recently. Benefits include cleaner air, reduced noise pollution, and improved road safety, the IEA report said. Make public transport cheaper and incentivize walking and cycling. Saves about 330,000 barrels per day. New Zealand is having public transport fares for the next 3 months in response to high fuel prices, while studies in the U.S. have shown cheaper fares lead to greater use. Some governments have incentivized people to walk or subsidize bike purchases. All of this would require government subsidy. Alternate private car access to roads in large cities. Example, every other day. Saves about 210,000 barrels per day. For example, cars whose number plate ends with an odd number can drive on Monday, and those with an even number can drive on Tuesdays. Such schemes have been deployed to tackle congestion and air pollution peaks in Athens, Madrid, Paris, Milan, and Mexico City. Exceptions could be made for electric vehicles. One downside is that households with multiple cars could game the rules. Reinforce the adoption of electric and more efficient vehicles. Saves about 100,000 barrels per day. By the end of last year, 8.4 million electric vehicles, EVs, were on the road in advanced economies, but the IEA urged faster adoption. Quote, "Actions taken now to hasten the adoption of electric vehicles will have a sustained effect in the future," it said. The IEA called for governments to pursue such measures to counter massive global disruption. Quote, "As a result of Russia's appalling aggression against Ukraine, the world may well be facing its biggest oil supply shock in decades, with huge implications for our economies and societies," said the IEA's executive director, Faith Birol. Reducing oil use must not remain a temporary measure, the report noted. Sustained reductions are important not only to improve countries' energy security, but also to tackle climate change and reduce air pollution, it said. Quote, The Sunday movement is now making its way in darkness. The leaders are concealing the true issue, and many who unite in the movement do not themselves see whether the undercurrent is tending. Its professions are mild and apparently Christian, but when it shall speak, it will reveal the spirit of the dragon. Counsels for the Church, page 335. This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. Thank you for watching.